Hey everyone, Patricio here with yet another webinar podcast. I don't know what these are anymore, but we're just going to call them webinars. And excited to have Lauren on board today about a discussion that, to be honest, I'm still learning about. I feel like a ton of people in the startup community are learning about, and people on the corporate end of things are also very curious about, and that's partnerships and, how do you successfully partner with a large enterprise, or if you're an enterprise, how do you partner with an up and coming disruptive startup to have a successful outcome? And we're going to, of course, talk about AI and all those fun AI related things as well throughout this conversation. But before we kick it off, Lauren, wondering if you can give our viewers just a quick little background because I think you've had a very interesting sort of taste of experiences, and you're also like one of the most badass like BD strategic people I know. So we'd love to hear a little bit about your background before we sort of dive into this partnership talk.
Yeah, well, you're too kind. Yeah, originally from Chicago, South Side, born and raised, lived there until I was 23. First job out of college was with the Chicago Cubs, where I worked in operations and then, special events, and it was an amazing experience, but I really wanted to go out west and figure out if I can, you know, start a career either in startups and try to dive into that world. Ended up getting lucky and started my career in startups like right off the bat, really. Started working as an executive assistant for a CEO at a creator media company. It was like prior to the creator economy really like booming, and that company actually was acquired by Everyday Health. And that CEO actually brought me on as his first employee at a credentialing software company that we had grown for 6 years, and it was acquired by AMN. And then lucky enough, Ready Set Food was looking for someone to come over and really lead their healthcare partnerships. And so I've been here for almost 5 years now. So it's been a journey, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we met, oh gosh, I think it was at the Amplify LA office
Yeah.
in Venice Beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, for those who don't know, Amplify is a prominent pre-seed investor here in the LA community. And they had this like really cool office on Venice Beach, uh, surfboards, lots of like sand here and there. Like it was a good time. It was a good time.
It was good.
Um, so, I'm curious, what are sort of like the last set of examples of that, high level too, if you can just kind of detail the partnerships that you've worked with, because I know a lot of the work that you've refined and gotten really good at is building really warm connections with strategic players on the enterprise front and helping bring literally products that have not existed to market with these larger enterprises, right? It's a very different sort of motion than building a consumer app and then posting that on social media and seeing who bites. So I'm curious if you can just touch on sort of the last sort of projects you've worked on high level and examples of what you saw to be a successful strategy there.
Yeah. Well, at Ready Set Food, when I had joined the team, it was prior to the new medical guidelines coming out, and it was clear that Ready Set Food was going to be really the first in this new category that was about to be created after these guidelines and these clinical studies were completed. And so when we started to really think about like our healthcare strategy, because Ready Set Food, you can go to Amazon, you can go to retail and purchase, it's a consumer product. We started to think about how we can work with large healthcare systems in an organic way to make sure that our patient population, parents, and providers really trust us and our product, and just really like the overall category, since it was really flipping it on the top of its head. So we started to really build relationships, with C-suites at large healthcare systems that really can be our champions from within those organizations to start doing education approaches with their providers. And I would say, when we partnered with our first healthcare system, we were learning, and they were really excited just about what our product can accomplish and what we had been doing and being the first, along with the pediatricians really believing that all their patients should have like education on the new topic. So I guess like the thing that is the most recent is that we're working with the Medicaid population in the United
Oh, wow.
States. And if people typically don't know like the statistics when it comes to babies on Medicaid, moms that are delivering, And right now in the United States, it's about like 43% of babies are being born on Medicaid. So it's just families that would never be able to afford our product that we want to make sure have the opportunity to have a product like ours to prevent food allergies and really to promote healthy living and nutrition. And so one of the things that we really have been pushing for at Ready Set Food is to work with Medicaid health plans across the United States. And we've been successful with a couple different partnerships that recently launched this year. And to see families actually receive Ready Set Food that need it the most from their pediatrician at their healthcare system that's funded by a health plan. Obviously, there's like a lot of moving parts, but when But when you have the right people involved that really believe in making a difference in these individuals' lives, you can see things come together pretty quickly. And in healthcare terms, I would say quickly is usually like a year. And for like my healthcare people out there, they totally understand what I'm talking about. But we've been able to accomplish a lot of things quickly because a lot of people have people in their lives that have food allergies, and they know how severe that they can be.
So it sounds like a big part of this is about like developing trust. And how do you think about that process, right? As a startup that's trying to deliver a new product, maybe you haven't even worked with another enterprise or larger corporate client yet. What are your thoughts around how to start developing that trust early on when you don't have that?
Yeah, I think that there was two things, that at my last startup and Ready Set Food that I think we had done pretty well is that we figured out like the executive team that has been working in the industry and is already trusted, and that doesn't have to be someone that's been in the industry for like 10 to 15 years, but someone that has a reputation that's already trusted and like has done a great job in their career was always something that I have always felt that if I'm joining like an early stage, like I want to know like who my four other people are on that executive team, just because things change, we scale up, we scale down, and you really want to make sure that you're like trusting your executive team and like the whole mix. And then the other thing that we have always done is bring on like a medical advisory group, and I think that like for an AI company, you would bring on technical advisors that can really help build that trust to larger organizations to be able to work with these smaller companies. And we really had vetted a lot of advisors to come on to like our medical advisory board. And then we had like a healthcare advisory board that we had about like 5 individuals that had worked at healthcare systems, health plans that can help us, build bridges with individuals that are currently working in those organizations and really help us to be able to like maneuver through these larger organizations that, are hard to be able to connect with.
When you work with advisors, I'm curious because I feel like I know a lot of early stage companies that have advisors, but how do you professionally, talk with and set up frameworks, with these advisory people to actually show that trust? Like, would you host webinars with them? Would you have them hop on customer discovery calls with you? How did that look like?
I think that like where we've been successful is I have always given them like the full, view of like where we're at today, where we want to be tomorrow, and, who we want to be in the next 5 years from now. Like I don't hide anything. It's like when you're thinking about bringing on an advisor, it's someone that hopefully can like be with you through the hard times, and, like the good times to get you to where you like need to be. So, it also has been like a learning experience sometimes to bring on advisors that sell you the world and then it doesn't work out, and then you learn from that to where you start to be a little bit more strategic. What I typically do, because I'm just really trying to build a network for people that understand that food allergies could be prevented and like innovation, I typically will talk to the advisors on like, here's what I need to do. Who are your 2 to 3 best friends that you can text today that you could connect me with that can help kind of like build my team and my network to get me to where I need to be. And so I've kind of kept it as simple as I can instead of being like, okay, here's my 20 companies that I want to work with, because everyone gets excited and then nothing happens, because there's a lot of people also advising for other companies. So my suggestion would be like, keep it simple, streamline, and then bring on advisors that aren't oversaturating their network, because sometimes you find people that have 15 companies they're advising, and I typically want to bring on people that are a little bit more selective in the companies that they're bringing on, because it's their reputation.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. And when it comes to the other side, right, which is these large healthcare plans or enterprises, corporates, etc., that are taking a chance on some sort of new technology, which, mind you, this is actually very similar to what we're seeing in our space, which is, developing a new sort of AI focused based technology for policy. These are very mission critical jobs that rely on mission critical software in some cases. In other cases, they just need something that's very accurate and works well. What are frameworks that these corporate teams should keep in mind when thinking of partnering with a startup? Like, what are sort of best practices, in your opinion, for them to keep in mind when they're looking at a new company? Like
The other side, well, I mean, here's the thing. They typically, like the individuals that we're chatting with and typically like who we're partnering with, they have, a core list of initiatives that they need to complete in
Right.
a certain amount. So what we'll typically make sure is that we fit into like one of those core initiatives that they're focusing on, and understanding like what their timeline is. I think that just being upfront on like what you can accomplish is like the best way to be honest. I think that what I've learned is that these larger organizations have so many organizations coming at them for the deal. So you're just like one in the pipeline, and so you have to be unique. You have to be someone that they actually want to talk to. They obviously like your product, but they need to be comfortable like working with your team, because it's a trust, or like it's a whole entire thing about making sure that we're all honest in like what we can accomplish, and not trying to overestimate it. And so what I've seen, what we've been successful is we're just always ourselves in the process of trying to communicate to these organizations what we want to accomplish and what we're hoping that we can work with. And I think that it's just been nice, because we tend to get to work with people that want to work with us. And it's a needle in a haystack. Like, I'm not saying that it's like the easiest thing ever, but you can feel when a partnership is really working compared to like you're really pulling it to come together, and it doesn't feel like the initiative is really something that they want to focus on, and there's maybe something else that is taking them away from it. And then just understanding the honesty on like where they're at. So hopefully I'm answering your question, but I think that like, the biggest thing is just being honest, because if you have like a C-suite, and like depending on like where you fit in the sales, who you're selling into at the organization, we have worked typically at like the SVP C-suite level, and so I know that they're going to be the most honest. Where I think that like if you're talking to someone that doesn't have all of the information, they might ask you different questions, and I think that just understanding and being honest about certain things will always lead to better results. That's
and
what I've learned.
Yeah, I mean, fair. No, I totally agree. And like, the one thing I actually want to get your quick thoughts on is like in person. Somebody told me that they're starting to, even after a second conversation, fly out to the corporate partners like HQ to meet them in person. Have you seen any sort of success with that? You think that may or may not be worth it in your experience?
I feel like I'm old now, so I'm like a in-person first meeting person. That's like
Okay.
how deep I am on like the whole in-person compared to
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, partnerships for me, it's like, obviously stage one is that they need to have the solution that I currently represent part of like their roadmap. The second thing is like they have to want to be like, you got to be likable on both ends to be able to work with each other. And I think that you can understand that by like meeting with each other on like the interest of where everything's at, and just really getting to know the person. So me, I always do, if I can, like I go out to all of my partners once every so many months just to say hi and have coffee. Just because I think that it's healthy to, build a relationship, because one thing that I always think about is like, yeah, today we're working on this one product, but who knows where 10 years is going to be, and where that person might be, that we might be able to work on another initiative together at a different company. So that's something that I tend to try to always kind of think about when I'm meeting individuals is that I don't want it to be a quick transaction. I'd like it to actually last as long as it can be. And I think that you do that by getting to know each other. It's kind of like dating in a way.
Yeah, I was like, this sounds very similar. Okay, and my last little curveball, which I always like asking people, is like, what excites you or terrifies you about the future? And it could be anything. It could be a lot of people obviously talk about AI. It doesn't have to be that. But yeah, what excites you or terrifies you about the future of where innovation, tech, and everything is going?
I mean, to be honest, I think the thing that terrifies me the most is that people are on their phones too much. I
Yeah,
wish that people, I mean, like I see it all the time, like even when I'm like walking my dog, even I do it. Like it's like I am a victim of it. And so I am trying to practice as much when, it's time to put it away to like try my best to be as present because I do think it's like amplifying and it's a great solution. Like I think that technology is amazing, obviously, but I think that the thing that scares me the most is just being on my phone way too much and not having the ability to be without it. I think that like that's the thing. Hopefully that's a good answer to this. Because yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing that scares me the most. I talk about it like way too much, and so I think that that's the thing that. But the thing that excites me the most is that I tend to meet people like you that are doing different, but at the same time, similar things in like the startup world. And I remember when I had met you because we were working out of the co-working space, and
that's
like
true.
2021, which was a year that people really weren't doing it. And I remember you were like, "Yeah, I do GovTech," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I haven't," because no one was doing it yet. And I was like, "Okay, I have to understand exactly what this company is doing," and it's so cool to see where you've gotten yourself to. And I'm so excited for the future. It's gonna be awesome.
Appreciate it, Lauren. And by the way, I also share your terrified sort of concerns. I was just like the other day I was thinking, I was like, wait, if I didn't have my phone, like pre even flip phone, if you're standing in line at Starbucks, you might actually like talk to people and feel
Someone. Yeah.
comfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now it's
It's weird.
we're all scared of each other. But anyways, I think maybe that's the main lesson. Don't be scared of other people. Just
Don't be
talk to
afraid of other
people.
people. Check, because now you're doing podcasts,
Yeah,
and if we didn't talk, we would never be doing this.
exactly. That was Exhibit A. Amazing example. Well, thank you again, Lauren. This was super insightful. Hopefully, this is helpful for other people out there looking to build new products that they're, hopefully selling and scaling to large enterprises, or if you're a large enterprise looking to try a new disruptive technology. But really appreciate it again, Lauren. And if anyone wants to learn more about you or what you're doing, any website, LinkedIn, where's the best place for people to find you?
Hit me up on LinkedIn. It's my new social media.
Amazing. LinkedIn influencer. Well, thanks again, Lauren, and we'll catch everyone soon. Bye now.